caught up in these rhinos.
All right.
Ace Ventura, come on. You know that reference.
I don't, but
What?
rhinos?
Do you not know Ace Ventura?
Oh, yes. I love that
And
movie.
he crawls out of the
Rhino's
butt.
butthole. Yeah. Well, he kind of tears his way out.
Yeah, he births himself.
He births himself. It's rebirthing.
I mean, I don't think it's a rebirth. It just is the first time.
The first time as a human rhino baby.
Correct.
The first human born to a rhino's butt.
Right.
All right.
All right.
Go.
Are you ready for this?
Well, I was ready. Now suddenly my thing disappeared. My topic.
Okay, take it.
Download it. Okay, ready.
All right. Welcome to Deeply Disturbing Things.
The podcast.
I'm Macy.
And I'm Naomi.
And we are two anxious counselors who like to talk about deeply disturbing things.
Let's get into this.
Let's dive in.
I am going to tell you a story tonight. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We both love books.
We love books.
So I brought this book. It's Seen Better Days.
That's not the title.
No. It's 1940 edition of the Invasion from Mars. It's a first edition, but
Ooh.
it is not super valuable because it's, tore up from the floor up. Also, it was a library book. So
The Invasion of Mars. It's a big cover.
Look, it has the checkout card in it. Isn't that cute?
Memories.
I know. All right, so I'm going to talk to you about the time that Martians invaded Earth.
Cool.
Did you know that happened?
No, I didn't. I mean, I assumed at some point.
In 1938 is when it happened.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea.
Okay.
Do you see a kitten? Kitten check.
Yeah, we have a kitten in the pod tonight. Kitten pod. Podcat.
Ah.
Oh, thank you. That sounds much better. We're still learning how to use microphones. We're 5.5 years into the podcast, but
No, we've talked about this. We actually have way better equipment.
But for some reason, we're
Newer.
using the most oldest and most bustedest equipment that exists on the
There's
planet.
literally Scotch tape holding things right now. And
Ponytail holder, Scotch tape.
because we don't just go back to what we know, we go back to the beginning and we just start all over again.
You have to build.
You got broaden and build.
All right. So I thought it would be fun for my topic. Usually I go in and find a whole bunch of diverse sources of information, I
Right.
thought it would be fun to use this book as my only source of information.
I love it. Let's work backwards. See if that gets us ahead in life.
Well, I don't know if it's pleasantly surprised or horrified at how little we've grown in almost 100 years. Okay. So, here's the preface. On the evening of October 30th, 1938, thousands of Americans became panic-stricken by a broadcast purported to describe an invasion of Martians which threatened our whole civilization. Probably never before have so many people in all walks of life and in all parts of the country become so suddenly and so intensely disturbed as they did on this night.
Oh man, they named our podcast right there. Sorry.
Did you see the name of our podcast
Right.
was on there? I was
Very disturbed.
This is the topic for us.
Yes.
All right. So, what happened on that night?
That fateful night.
Halloween Eve.
Of course it was.
Yeah. Director, actor, writer, producer, and magician
Fuck yeah.
Orson Welles
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't feel like I've really succeeded in life because when people introduce me, they never say magician
Right.
ever.
Why
It's never
not?
in the list.
Yeah.
Like that's just cool. That's cool.
I'd like to be doctor, author, educator, magician.
Magician. Yeah, like that's the stuff right
Like
there.
I need to lead with that. Magician, and who else cares about
Yeah,
anything
nobody
else?
tells about like as soon as you hear magician, everything else is like fades into the background.
Right.
So Orson Welles,
Like a good sleight of hand.
oh, I love a good sleight of hand. Orson Welles took his play that he'd written and his group of actors into the New York studio of the Columbia Broadcasting System. He was only 23 years old at the time. Orson Welles, at this time on this day, is regarded as one of the most influential filmmakers of all time.
Can they claim that though? Is it like all time past, all time of future, or is it
All time up to this
isn't it
moment.
just relative, anyways?
Well, his film Citizen Kane is largely revered and
I've never seen it.
it's
Largely revered.
it's largely revered. Yeah,
That's good to know.
there's only one word you need to know: Rosebud.
Rosebud.
You'll have to watch the film. No spoilers for me.
Is it like cellar door?
I'm not gonna say.
I won't. Does that make you?
What does cellar door mean?
Well, we had a
spoiler?
podcast from the Donnie Darko episode. That's
Mm.
the most one of the most beautiful words
Yeah.
in English language.
Cellar door. Do you think that's the most beautiful word?
Well, we looked it up and it was like phonetically like something about it. Yeah.
Cellar door.
Cellar door. I find it peaceful.
That's nice.
Oh, and actually, I think my completely unrelated, but I think my phone background is
A cellar door.
literally like a portion of it, like a cellar door.
Is it your cellar door?
No, but it's just like this like little.
It's a stranger's cellar door.
I don't know.
It's a cellar door of unknown
I
origins.
can't even see it. What's the point? What's the point of a wallpaper when everything covers it?
Yeah, what's the point? I agree. I 100% agree. Why do I put a photo of my cat and then have it covered with freaking app icons?
Right.
It seems disrespectful.
My dad
to be
puts a
honest.
picture of me on the background, and then I'm covered up with by Facebook on my nose.
Yeah, it's disrespectful.
Yeah. Respect me more.
Get that Facebook off your nose. Or mega. Oh, meta. Sorry. Sorry,
He
Mark.
did not. Van did not like that.
Sorry, Mark. Efferberg. Okay.
Efferberg. If not Scientology.
Let them all come for me. It's
Right.
fine.
Bring it on.
Okay, so the play he had brought in was adapted from H.G. Wells's 1898 science fiction novel War of the Worlds.
Okay, I do know that one.
Yeah, so H.G. Wells, pretty well-known author of science fiction. So he took the book and adapted it into a play. So Orson, I'm going to say Orson now because
we now know.
because Orson Welles and H.G. Wells have the same last name. So
Oh.
if I just said
That
Wells, that might be
confusing.
confusing. Yeah, and H.G. Wells was the first Wells. So
Are there photos?
of these folk,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna look them up for cranial context.
So Orson hoped to entertain radio listeners for an hour with an incredible old-fashioned story appropriate for Halloween. That was him a little bit later in life. Very serious.
Oh, I see his younger self with a cob pipe.
A good old cob pipe.
I'm assuming it's a cob pipe. It might just be a wood pipe.
It might be. So back then, do you know what an incredible old-fashioned story appropriate for Halloween was? It was called a boo.
Oh.
A boo.
I wasn't gonna get that from you.
Boo. I was trying to boo you. Boo.
Boo.
Okay. So here it starts. So I'm going to read here and there through this story to you because I don't know about you, but I love being read to.
I love it too. My aunt would read bedtime, like Alice in Wonderland and things to me.
Yeah, I love being read to. So I'm obviously not going to read the whole thing because we are on a time schedule,
Which we have already crunched, yeah.
which we've already spent an hour trying to figure out our microphones. Okay, so this is very important critical information to hear. As it opens, the very first thing is the announcer saying, "The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air in War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells." And then came the theme song. So that's important. Tuck that away.
It's tough.
That was right in the beginning.
The start happened.
So then the announcer comes on again. "Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theater and star of these broadcasts, Orson Welles." And then Orson Welles starts talking. "We now know that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's and yet as mortal as his own. We now know that as human beings busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water."
I do want to just naturally fall asleep to the lovely storytelling.
Okay, but say it.
I'm going to. I do the sleep stories. That's another thing. Look at the cat.
Oh, that kitten is out.
Out. If you want to be a patron, it's only $1. You can see a kitten.
You can see a cute kitten. Yes. So Orson Welles kind of opens it up, and then it is talking about this, and then the announcer comes in with a weather report.
Weather.
"For the next 24 hours, not much change in temperature. A slight atmospheric disturbance of undetermined origin is reported over Nova Scotia, causing a low-pressure area to move down rather rapidly over the northeastern states, bringing a forecast of rain, accompanied by winds of light gale force. Maximum temperature 66, minimum 48. This weather report comes to you from the Government Weather Bureau. We now take you to the Meridian Room in the Hotel Park Plaza in downtown New York, where you will be entertained by the music of Roman Raquello and his orchestra." And then Spanish music starts to play.
Okay.
And it's lovely.
Lovely.
And then another announcer comes in. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From the Meridian Room in the Park Plaza in New York City, we bring you the music of Ramon Raquello and his orchestra with a touch of the Spanish. Ramon Raquello leads off with La Comparsita." So music is playing. Yes. Oops. And so then another announcer breaks in. "Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory, Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars."
Not good, I would guess.
Now a tune that never loses favor, the ever-popular Stardust, Ramon Raquello and his orchestra. So music starts again. Yes. Announcer 2 breaks in. "Ladies and gentlemen, following on the news given in our bulletin a moment ago, the Government Meteorological Bureau has requested the large observatories of the country to keep an astronomical watch on any further disturbances occurring on the planet Mars. Due to the unusual nature of this occurrence, we have arranged an interview with the noted astronomer, Professor Pearson, who will give us his views on this event."
Okay.
So we have, so now we go to the observatory. It's a new location. So over to another situation.
Okay.
Where the commentator is interviewing Professor Pearson. So that is what's going on there.
Check it out. Over here.
Yes. So the commentator Phillips says, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Phillips speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton. I'm standing in a semicircular room, pitch black except for an oblong pit in the split in the ceiling. Through this opening, I can see a sprinkling of stars that cast a kind of frosty glow over the intricate mechanism of the huge telescope." So, what I love about radio is they like paint a picture for you. You know what I mean?
Well, and I was just picturing that too because it's beautiful.
Yeah, so they go back and forth, Phillips and Pearson, and like talking about space stuff and astronomy. And then announcer breaks in after some swing band music plays for about 20 seconds.
I like the swing band music. Yeah, sounds fun.
"We take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey." So this is like a small farm community.
Okay.
And so Phillips, their commentator, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl Phillips again at the Wilmouth Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Professor Pearson and myself made the 11 miles from Princeton in 10 minutes. Well, I hardly know where to begin to paint for you a word picture of the strange scene before my eyes,
Word picture,
like something out of a modern Arabian Nights.
like imagery.
Well, I just got here. I haven't had a chance to look around yet. I guess that's it. Yes, I guess that's the thing directly in front of me, half buried in a vast pit. Must have struck with terrible force. The ground is covered with splinters of a tree. Must have struck on the way down. What I can see of the object itself doesn't look very much like a meteor, at least not the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge cylinder."
Joe Dirt, anyone?
What would you say, Professor Pearson? Yes. So the story starts off at this local farm, and so we can believe like it's a small isolated incident. They thought meteors were coming. There's something weird happening on Mars. Now there's this strange cylinder that crash landed on a farm. You know, typical,
Friday night, yeah.
typical stuff. Okay, so they're like getting into this thing on the farm, and Philip says, "Can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside the thing?" Pearson, "Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface."
That sounds like a smart answer I might give too.
Phillips, "Do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?" Pearson, "I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial, not found on this Earth. Friction with the Earth's atmosphere usually tears holes in a meteorite. This thing is smooth, and as you can see, of cylindrical shape." Phillips, "Just a minute. Something's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrific. The end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The top is beginning to rotate like a screw. The thing must be hollow." And then voices, "She's a moving. Look, the darn thing's unsprung. Keep back then. Keep back, I tell you. Maybe there's men in it trying to escape. It's red hot. We'll burn to a cinder. Keep
What
back
is
there.
that? What is that?
Something's back."
Wait.
It's crowd voices.
Crowd?
Yes, you know, appreciate my depiction.
I mean, now that you said it, I'm like, oh,
You know how crowd voices are. I mean,
yeah. I
imagine
mean,
that
there's
all
like a
kind of at the
rhubarb,
same time. Imagine they're
rhubarb.
all at the same time saying, "I'm just one actor. I'm just one voice
You
actor."
can only be one.
So I have to say them sequentially.
I see. Okay, that which added to my confusion. Like there's emphasis for a reason.
So here's a few more voices of the crowd.
Okay, got it.
"She's off. The top's loose. Look out there. Stand back.
Ahoy!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed.
Oh shit!
Wait a minute. Someone's crawling out of the hollow top? Someone or something." Shout of awe from the crowd.
Ah!
"Good heavens, something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake." "No, it's another one, and another. They look like tentacles to me." There, I can see the thing's body. It's large as a bear and it glistens like wet leather. But that face, it's indescribable. I can hardly force myself to keep looking at it. The eyes are black and gleam like a serpent.
Oh my gosh.
The mouth is V-shaped with saliva dripping from its rimless lips that seem to quiver and pulsate.
Ew.
The thing's rising up. The crowd falls back. They've seen us. All right. So that's the farm.
I like that
Stuff goes
introductory.
on at the farm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so what happens is things are starting to escalate.
Right. Well, and it's not just escalate at this point. It's like happening, and it's not good or normal. Potentially not good, but not normal.
So, announcer two. Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from Grover's Mill. Evidently, there's been some difficulty with our field transmission. However, we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity. In the meantime, we have a late bulletin from San Diego, California. Professor Indokoffer, speaking at a dinner of the California Astronomical Society, expressed the opinion that the explosions on Mars are undoubtedly nothing more than severe volcanic disturbances on the surface of the planet. We continue now with our piano interlude. So piano music plays.
Right.
Yes. Okay. And keep in mind, I'm skipping pages here. So
I gathered that. You're okay.
this is like the highlights. I tried to include enough so that it's a cohesive story, but enough that we will fit into our time period here. So announcer two. Thank you, Professor Pearson. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a bullet from Trenton. It is a brief statement informing us that the charred body of Carl Phillips has been identified in a Trenton hospital. Now here's another bulletin from Washington, D.C. Officer of the Director of the National Red Cross reports 10 units of Red Cross emergency workers have been assigned to the headquarters of the state militia, stationed outside of Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Here's a bulletin from the state police, Princeton Junction. The fires at Grover Mills and vicinity now under control. Scouts report all quiet in the pit and no signs of life appearing from the mouth of the cylinder. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special statement from Vice President in charge of operations.
Finally.
Harry McDonald, Vice President in charge of operations. We have received a request from the militia at Trenton to place at their disposal an entire broadcasting facilities. In view of the gravity of the situation and believing that radio has a definite responsibility to serve in the public interest at all times, we are turning over our facilities to the state militia at Trenton. Okay, so they're basically saying they're turning over their broadcast.
Right.
To the militia because it's like big shit was going on.
Yeah, and they'd rather not deal with it.
Well, it's like their responsibility because radio
is to inform.
It was the only means of instant communication at that time. Otherwise, you had to wait for a pony to deliver a letter.
Okay. No pony stand out.
So radio, still kind of newish. I don't know when radio started, but it was.
Is it just me? Is it getting really hot here?
Well, it's summer. I'm sweating a little.
Okay. All right.
We don't have air conditioning.
This is kind.
He's so stretched out and cute and sexy.
Okay, so they're turning things over. Well, I mean, basically, they're like, okay, we need to be here for the public notification system.
Yes, so they're putting themselves at the disposal of the military, so the military can broadcast on their airwaves because it's like a big thing going on. So, Captain says, "This is Captain Lansing of the Signal Corps, attached to the state militia, now engaged in military operations in the vicinity of Grover's Mill. Situations arising from the reported presence of certain individuals of unidentified nature is now under complete control."
So, okay, so how would you handle that?
What do you mean?
Like, if you heard that on the radio.
Well, just wait, Missy. I have to finish the story and then we get into that.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Remember, this is a play that was being heard over the radio. Yes. Okay. So, announcer comes in. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars. The battle which took place tonight at Grover's Mill has ended in one of the most startling defeats ever suffered by an army in modern times. 7,000 men armed with rifles and machine guns pitted against a single fighting machine of the invaders from Mars. 120 known survivors. Wow. The rest strewn over the battle area from Grover's Mill to Plainsboro, crushed and trampled to death under the metal feet of the monster, or burned to cinders by its death ray.
What?
Yeah.
That really got turned up.
Yeah, I mean, it's spreading far and wide. So now the Secretary of the Interior speaks. Citizens of the nation, I shall not try to conceal the gravity of the situation that confronts the country, nor the concern of your government in protecting the lives and property of its people. However, I wish to impress upon you, private citizens and public officials, all of you, the urgent need of calm and resourceful action. So basically, it's like everything's fine with that.
Right. Resourceful.
We've heard that before.
Yeah, they don't got it.
Okay, so now Army bombers are flying in. More battles ensue. The Martian invaders' attack spreads farther and wider. So this is now military operators are talking. 8 Army bombers in engagement with enemy tripod machines over Jersey Flats. Engines incapacitated by heat ray. All crashed. 1 enemy machine destroyed. Enemy now discharging heavy black smoke in direction of... This is Newark, New Jersey. This is Newark, New Jersey. Warning. Poisonous black smoke pouring in from New Jersey marshes. Reach at South Street. Gas mask useless. Urge population to move into open spaces. Automobiles. Use Route 7, 23, 24. Avoid congested areas. Smoke now spreading over Raymond Boulevard.
Wow.
I hope you're appreciating all my voices I'm giving.
I am. No, that one was really good.
Yeah, and this is totally on the fly that I'm coming up with all this.
Really bought in.
Okay. All right. So all that's happening, mayhem. This is announcer. I'm speaking from the roof of Broadcasting Building, New York City. The bells you hear are ringing to warn the people to evacuate the city as Martians approach. Estimated in the last 2 hours, 3 million people have moved out along the roads to the north. Hutchinson River Parkway still kept open for motor traffic. Avoid bridges to Long Island, hopelessly jammed. All communication with Jersey Shore closed 10 minutes ago. No more defenses. Our army wiped out. Artillery, Air Force, everything wiped out. This may be the last broadcast. We'll stay here to the end.
Yes. Okay.
Dramatic.
I mean, dramatic. I mean, if that were the case, I would want them to be that dramatic. But I have a feeling we're still here because that didn't happen. Maybe.
Well, yeah, we don't know. Okay. So then the announcer comes in. You are listening to a CBS presentation of Orson Welles in the Mercury Theater on the air in an original dramatization of War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. The performance will continue after a brief intermission. This is Columbia Broadcasting System. And then the theme. Whatever it is.
And then it like lines.
And then it goes back into it. So the story ends, like it goes into apocalyptic planning.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll just give like a little paragraph onto that. So Pearson's still alive.
Okay.
He meets a stranger. They start talking about like what's gonna happen
About making love, baby,
in the future with like
when everyone's gone.
when we're under Martian control.
Right.
And the stranger says, "I've got it all figured out. We'll live underground. I've been thinking about the sewers
Mole people. Mole
under New
people.
York. Miles and miles of them. The main ones are big enough for anybody. Then there's cellars, vaults, underground storerooms, railway tunnels, subways. You'll begin to see, hey? We'll get a bunch of strong men together, no weak ones. That rubbish out."
So, one, what are they? They're not trolls, they're what, gremlins or something? I don't know. No, they're trolls. Trolls are the ones.
Are you talking about the one, that book where there's some people up above and some people down?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pearson is like, he declines. He's like, yeah, the stranger's like, "What's the matter? Where are you going?" Oh, sorry, wrong place. "What's the matter? Where are you going?" And Pearson says, "Not to your world. Goodbye, stranger." So denied. So the Martians are eventually killed by, what do you think?
Oxygen. Bacteria.
Bacteria. Good. Yes. They were
Yay.
not prepared. They did not have their vaccinations. They were not prepared for the little bacterias of the earth.
Right. They were like, it's okay, grab some hand sanitizer. And then they didn't know they were the supers already.
So I'm just going to play like 2 minutes of the actual recording so you can kind of get the idea.
Right.
This is during the army bomber part. Okay.
Lieutenant Boat, commanding 8 bombers, reporting to Commander Fairfax, Langham Field. This is Boat reporting to Commander Fairfax, Langham Field. Enemy tripod machines now in sight. Reinforced by 3 machines from the Morristown cylinder, 6 altogether. 1 machine partially crippled. Believed hit by shell from Army gun in Watchung Mountain. Guns now appear silent. A heavy black fog hanging close to the earth of extreme density, nature unknown. No sign of heat ray. Enemy now turns east, crossing Passaic River into the Jersey marshes. Another straddles the Pulaski Skyway. Evident objective is New York City. They're pushing down a high-tension power station. Machines are close together now, and we're ready to attack. Planes circling, ready to strike. Yards, and we'll be over the first. 800 yards. 600. 200. There they go. Giant arm raised. Green flash.
No.
2,000 feet. Engines are giving out. No chance to release bombs. Only one thing left. Drop on them, plane and all.
Ow.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wowza.
Wowzers.
That's scary.
I know.
I wouldn't want to hear that.
All right. So I'm going to read you 2 accounts from people that went through it.
Okay.
And again, I'm only using this book as my only source of information. I thought that would be fun.
Yeah, no, it is definitely a look at the times.
So this is from Mrs. Ferguson, a northern New Jersey housewife of the inquiring interviewer. And housewife was a title they gave people back then. I mean, are you married to the house? I don't really know what that means.
I don't know what that is either. Can I open your gun?
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
I mean, I just goes to the furnace.
Oh.
The furnace isn't on, though. You're detoxing. It's good for you. All right. You can open the door, but the kitty might get out.
Detoxing my ibuprofen from my
Yeah,
lower wounds.
good for you. Okay, here's from Mrs. Ferguson,
Okay.
housewife. I knew it was something terrible and I was frightened, but I didn't know just what it was. I couldn't make myself believe it was the end of the world. I've always heard that when the world comes to an end, it would come as fast nobody would know. So why should God get in touch with this announcer? When they told us what road to take and get up over the hills and the children began to cry, the family decided to get out. We took blankets, and my granddaughter wanted to take the cat and the canary. We were outside the garage when the neighbor's boy came back and told us it was a play. All right, so there is a teenager I want to share, or who was she? I don't know, I can't find her. I thought it was a funny teenager one. So you get the idea of the reactions. So why did this happen? Why were people freaked out? Because people really thought that this was real. Oh, it's pastry.
I think that like fear,
Yeah.
part, like the fear of the unknown.
Okay, you got to hear the high school one.
Okay, go ahead.
High schoolers in 1938, like, it's interesting.
Okay, yeah, they're just starting to wear ankle socks.
So this is Helen Anthony, a young high school girl in Pennsylvania. She kept on saying, "Where are we going to go? What can we do? What difference does it make whether we get killed now or later?" I was really hysterical. My two girlfriends and I were crying and holding each other, and everything seemed so unimportant in face of death. We felt it was terrible we should die so young. I'm always nervous anyway, and I guess I was getting everybody even more scared. The boy from downstairs threatened to knock me out if I didn't stop acting so hysterical.
Wow.
We tried another small station, which had some programs on that confirmed our fears. I was sure the end of the world was coming. So I'm glad that boy didn't knock her out for being so hysterical. Yeah, so everybody thought this was real. I mean, not everybody, a lot of people. It was estimated that 6 million people heard the broadcast. 6 million people.
A lot.
And so, how many of them were frightened? Well, the American Institute of Public Opinion took a poll. And they asked, at the time you were listening, did you think this broadcast was a play or a real news report?
A real news report.
So they asked that. And 28% indicated that they believed the broadcast was a news bulletin. And 70% of those who thought they were listening to a news report reported that they were frightened or disturbed. So this would mean that about 1,700,000 heard the broadcast as a news bulletin, and that of those, about 1,200,000 were actually frightened or disturbed or excited or otherwise, impacted by it. So, in spite of the attempt to word the question concerning the individual's reaction in a casual way, it must be remembered that the number of persons who admitted their fright to the American Institute of Public Opinion interviews is probably the very minimum of the total people actually frightened, because people would be too ashamed or embarrassed or guilty.
Right, I was going to say the reporting's probably would be better.
Yes, so it's probably way higher. Okay, so why did this happen? Why did people freak out? Well, one reason, it sounded real.
Right.
It didn't sound like a play. You listened to that.
I was bought in because I could imagine just there's not as much to do during that era too, so you're probably really tuned into the radio. And then to have that come across and everything up to that point, the radio is your source of like important, critical, emergency news.
Well, that was actually new. Like for
yeah.
those times, because this is when World War II was just starting to kind of ramp up, and they were starting to use the radio to break into regular broadcasting for important news reports.
Right.
And I think that Orson Welles did a good job of making it
It was very realistic.
seem very realistic. Like,
Yeah.
kudos to those actors. Like, they sounded, not me, but like,
You were pretty good. I liked your
Well, thank you.
Gollum. I'm sorry.
and that was totally on the fly, I just want to say. So that was one reason that these researchers cite for the panic, is that it actually sounded real. And when you're listening to the beginning, they start off saying it's a freaking play. They actually say that 4 times during the hour.
But an hour is a long time, and our brains are short.
Our brains are short. Yes, I have short brain syndrome
I
myself.
have short brain.
So
You have long
I have long brain.
long arms, quick walk, short brain. I've got short leg, short walk, short brain.
I have big hands too.
Little hands.
So it was very realistic, and I think people were keyed up about.
It's like these
There had
markers.
been-
Everything's connected. When you put edible ink marker,
People want to eat it.
people are gonna think it's an edible. Like that's its purpose.
And if you want to be our Patreon, you can see me trying to eat a marker.
Possibly licking it.
So that was one reason. The other reason was that radio had been accepted as the source of important announcements. You know, that
Yeah.
was like families gathered around the radio to hear the programs every night, and then if there was an important announcement, it would break in, just like they did
Breaking
then.
news.
Yeah, they would break in. like,
Breaking news. Aliens from Mars.
important announcement to make. Yes, so that was another reason. Another was the prestige of the speakers. So they had like secretaries of state, they had scientists, they had, people that had important titles.
Now, were these like the actual people or,
No,
or actors?
they're the actors.
Okay, okay.
But they were given important
And they did
titles.
great jobs.
Yes. So in the book it says, it is a well-known fact that to the social psychologist, the advertiser, and the propagandist, that an idea or a product has a better chance of being accepted if it can be endorsed by or if it emanates from some well-known person whose character, ability, or status is highly valued. I think they're talking about influencers.
Yeah, I mean, when was the book written?
1940.
1940, the start of the influencer.
This is why I was super
Is he
impressed
an
by it.
influencer? Like the first influencer.
Well, he rattled people.
Yeah.
I mean, as a result of this, he got
He
his
influenced pop culture.
movie deals.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I think I was both impressed and horrified by how relevant this research is now. Because I'm like, have we not learned anything?
Have we like not?
Yeah, like, are we getting?
How are we
stupider?
utilizing our time?
Yeah, exactly. Like everything in this research was spot on. I mean, yes, we're not going to do the same polls or in the same way,
But maybe that's accumulative over time.
but we still do polls.
Right.
They're just maybe conducted
Polls are easy.
in a different way.
Yeah, like
Have we advanced or have we gone backwards?
right. Let's collect the data.
So I was simultaneously impressed by these researchers and horrified for us.
Yeah.
Okay. So another reason they cited was that everybody was baffled.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So when everybody's baffled around you, like you're going out and like
Yeah.
your neighbor and you're both running out, like what the heck's going on? You know what I mean?
I mean, it's like the mob mentality. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Or contagion.
Contagion
type.
effect. Yeah. Specific incidents were named. So it was very realistic as far as the descriptions of particular occurrences that a listener could really imagine. So things like a sort of yellowish green, the cop warns. One side there, keep back, I tell you. A voice shouts, the darn thing's unscrewing. So you can really like understand what they're talking about and like picture it in your head, and it makes it more real.
And they like, yeah, I mean, nobody was prepared for this. Like they're just reacting to, right?
Nobody was prepared, yeah. And they mentioned it was particularly frightening, it said, to listeners in New Jersey and Manhattan areas because they were mentioning places that were well known to them. So they're giving them the actual names of like, this route is blocked, like take
And you're like, oh, I take that route home. I better not risk it.
Like if we're like I-90 completely shut down, must take an alternate route. Like that would make it more real.
I need to know that.
Yeah, that would really make it more real, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I would take Trent.
So the total experience is also cited. So careful observation of everyday life behavior, careful inspection of one's own reactions in the course of an ordinary day indicates that in social life, the normal individual experiences patterns of configurations of social stimuli. So this is what you're talking about, like the vibe.
Yeah, it's
like what's going on around you. People are gonna get caught up in it.
Right.
The whole experience.
And how long does it take to like groom someone at this stage in the game? Because it's like an hour long, right?
It was an hour-long program.
So yeah, so they're like building up the trust and rapport throughout that of like getting people to find them credible.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna get into the last reason for people freaking out. Tuning in late.
Oh yeah, that sucked.
So if you tuned in late,
which I'm sure many I did,
you would have missed the initial introduction, which clearly stated that it was a play, that it was a presentation.
Yeah.
With actors.
Yeah, but.
And so on.
Yeah.
So you would have just jumped in right in there. So part of the survey that was conducted after was, at what part of the program did you turn in? And then, did you realize it was a play, or did you think it was a real news broadcast? So 42% said they had tuned in late. And so the researchers show a direct relationship between tuning in late and being freaked out.
Really? I like finding out those things. So tuning in late and corresponded with
freaking out.
What is the definition of freaking out?
That's panic, thinking it was real,
like terror,
being scared, perhaps packing your stuff into a tote.
Impulsive decisions. Okay.
Like really, like maybe praying. Praying was reported as a very common reaction. Praying, fear.
So okay, so
maybe trying to find your family, gather them together, maybe pack some stuff, figuring out a plan. Yeah, so that.
This was more like just some general good wellness was happening.
So if you tuned in late, you were more likely to have those reactions.
Right.
And so if you tuned in right after that, it sounded very real because this is where they're playing music and then the weather person comes in. Yeah. So the big conclusion of this, which is awesome, and I love this so much, is that the whole cause of the panic and the disturbance was due to tuning in late.
Wow.
That's the conclusion of the researchers.
I mean, that's amazing that that's all in a book. that whole thing is all to that conclusion.
That's the problem. So
where's the follow-up study? We need to know.
Well, this was a big thing, and I know there's so much information about it out there, and that's why I chose to just live in the times of this one book of 1940. I mean, this was a big deal. Like, it was splashed across newspaper headlines all over the country after how everybody thought that we were really being invaded by Mars.
Right. Well, and it played on like people's fears at the time too.
Yeah.
With
Yeah, the book needs a little tape.
with wars and such going on.
Yeah, so
around
it's good timing.
like the
'cause-
amount of mistrust and
Yeah,
government.
I mean, it was 1938. We were not, involved in World War II at that time, but we're definitely keeping an eye on things,
Right.
and people are stressed.
Um. So yeah, this one says it didn't sound like a play the way it interrupted the music when it started.
Yeah,
So like that, yeah, that urgency, that like that made me think of the Columbine topic where for the mass shooting at the high school where they had to change out everything from the smells, so the type of food that they made and the bells
to
at
decrease the
lunchtime.
trauma reminders.
Right, right. So I wonder if at that point people were getting so like I don't know, in those routines of what radio was, and their brain had it just tied up so tightly. Because
Yeah,
there's very little variance in that time. That means this.
yeah, yeah. And, I imagine you tuned in late right after that announcement and you're listening to it, and then you start panicking. You're probably going to maybe stop listening because you're going to gather your go
Right,
bag.
right. Or you're questioning it, and then someone else confirms it that they heard it,
Yeah.
and now it's true to you too, even if
Yes.
you hadn't.
Yes, part of the research in there, I didn't
Yeah.
talk about it, but there was a huge increase in telephone calls during that time,
I bet.
that hour.
I bet.
So people are calling each other like, "Oh my gosh, did you hear this?" Yes. And then you amp each other up.
Right. Was there like were they backed up trying to get out of like evacuating or anything? Like were people panicking?
No, people were panicking, but I think it ended so quickly that it's a short-lived panic.
So how
Because
did
it's only an hour show, and the end is clearly a story. Like if you actually, like the actual part that's the play part,
right.
where it's like reenacting it is just a part of it, and
But
then the whole
people-
end is like that whole post-apocalyptic part.
Right. Well, but I don't know. Would most people tune through the whole entire thing at that
No,
point?
I mean I would be like, shit's going down.
Yeah.
Find my loved ones. We're packing a go bag, and we're going. And so, like that teenager said, like, or not the teenager, the housewife. She said they were ready to go, but then the neighbor boy came over and was like, "It's just a play." So
Right,
I
right.
imagine it was like a short-lived panic, but it was a real panic for a lot of people.
Well, yeah. This person said that we were holding each other. Everything seemed unimportant in the face of death. I was afraid to die. Just keep on listening. I tuned in to the weather. Once the weather reports were gone, my only thought was my little boy. My husband was at the movies. I thought it was all up to us. I grabbed my boy and just sat and cried and cried.
Yeah,
Like, that's
so it's
sad.
real.
That's like some hardcore existential crisis stuff happening.
I know. So, I mean, if you're gonna tune in until next time, mine's gonna be don't tune in late.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Until next time.
Did we lose the kitten?
Oh yeah, he went away. He went to. I opened the door and I felt the cool air too. I was yeah. Until next time, don't lose the kitten.
Don't lose the kitten.
And maybe check your source, like more than one source, maybe if you have it.
If you're having a panic.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you hear something alarming, instead of just like jumping to this is what's happening.
Call your trusted person.
I wouldn't even do that because what if they're part of the contagion effect? I'd want to hear it on another source. So maybe tune into a different radio station. Because if it's that,
Yeah.
if it's that big of a deal,
It's gonna be on
hear
all
it.
the channels.
Right, in theory, or at least enough.
It should be, yeah.
And if not, you're gonna die. And maybe you should listen to your friends.
Totally. Bye.
Bye.